have an advantage. Shooter just needs to straighten. Once again, the ball though down to a snail's pace. Now this is where Johnny Wilkinson needs to make his kicking count, and well, that is just kicking away your advantage, and the Samoans can counter. Need support quickly there though, otherwise they're going to concede a penalty. Just trying to get over the ball, and they've managed to retain possession, and they'll pick up possession in almost in a better attacking position for them than it was 5 yards from the line in some ways, as far as Samoan rugby is concerned.
Well, they tried to muscle their way over here. It's an extraordinary little hurdling attempt over the top there, sort of thing you see in American football rather than rugby. But yeah, again, just they don't have the sort of physique and power technique to out-muscle, you know, what is a pretty solid English defence. It's when the ball is when the play is fragmented that England begin to look a little bit more vulnerable. And, you know, I think they'd have been better trying to get the ball out into space and move it wide, see if they could find gaps out wide.
Well, change made there by England with Perry Freshwater coming on, and we're also going to see the arrival of Steve Borthwick.
Come closer, please, England. Come closer. Crouch. Touch. Pause. No. No, it's not.
Samoans and Gomersall just a little over keen to get the ball off his opposite number. Junior Polu expecting a free kick to be awarded here if the Samoans can't.
Time off again, please. Okay, well, we'll deal with it, Here's our mark, yeah?
At the lineouts, and you know, the forwards can consider a job well done in the set piece, but it's just the issue around the sort of contact areas and the pace at which they're able to recycle ball. That's been England's biggest problem right the way through this World Cup campaign.
And the other huge problem that faces them here, really, in my opinion, is the fact that they played against a Samoan side who haven't really impressed me throughout this game, and yet they lead them by just 4 points.
Well, that's right. I mean, you know, Samoa, if they finish with a bonus point from this, then I'm sure they'll be absolutely delighted. I think England, on the other side, if they don't finish with the bonus point for 4 tries, they'll be very disappointed.
And they'll be seriously worried, even more so now going into that Tongan fixture. Steve Soyalu has come on to replace Polu, and they've just scragged Josh Lucy there, who is desperate for the support of his forwards. The cavalry arrives just in the nick of time. Wilkinson back round onto his right boot, tries to cut back inside, bounces off a couple of tackles, but now leaves it to Gomersall to get it clear. And this time it is a good clearance kick from the scrum half. So with the clock ticking down, we approach the final 10 minutes. Josh Lucy there, well, once again, the old chiropractor was in the corner of his eye. I'm not surprised that he hit the deck as quickly as possible. Johnny Wilkinson with a fairly extraordinary decision. Just shows the lack of confidence he has in his kicking from hand at the moment, that he didn't think about sending the ball way downfield as he would have done in days of yore. Samoans have struggled, as we have been pointing out in the line-up. Managed to get it back though, Soyalu. And now they can attack from deep. Ball played in along the ground. Not the most sensible kick, didn't put any real pressure on England. But, I mean, another missed touch, and well, you just feel that if England managed to avoid the ignominy of failing to go through on in the pool stages, then they're going to come a cropper in the quarter-finals, and that one, a little chip ahead, just inches away. Up and under hoisted. That's a better kick. Actually gives the English a chance to get underneath it. Went forward, but England going to come up with the ball. And now Wilkinson, they can spread it through the backs. Barkley. just no real options outside him. When he had options, he just decided not to use them. Back inside to Shooter. And that's just going straight back into where the ball came from. And we're getting more and more demoralising for those in the white shirts on the sidelines to watch. Wilkinson, bit of pace on the ball this time. They've just come sideways across the pitch, haven't gone forward at all. Down the blind side now, back inside. Gomersall, better handling from England. They get a little bit of momentum coming forward. Gomersall out. Barkley sidesteps his way half through a challenge. And Wilkinson, here's the cry from the referee that offside's been awarded. Goes for a 3-point drop goal anyway, and notches it up. So England's lead back out to 7.
It's just laboured and you know, really difficult to get excited about, I'm afraid.
So laboured. It's Henry Tuilagi who departs, and he's certainly given us all. Lewis Moody also looks as though he's about to come on for the English. Player who's ill-disciplined has cost his country dear in years gone by, just by conceding needless penalties and also having himself sent to the bin. He replaces Joe Worsley, who, well, he's done very little to set the world alight, but he's also probably done everything that Brian Ashton asked of him before he took to the field.
Well, I think it is a fairly one-paced English back row. You know, Joe Worsley, Martin Corrie, Nicky Sir, all fairly one-paced. What Lewis Moody does, he'll bring, or should bring, a little bit more dynamism in, and a bit more sort of aggression at the contact areas.
Salala Mafusua, and is replaced by Jerry Meffa, and the player coming on was Alfie Vaialuaga, who came on to replace Henry Tuilagi. Well, with 10 minutes to go then, England lead this one by 7 points to nil. Well, not by 7 points to nil, but just by 7 points, in fact. I'll get there in the end. But it's 29-22, and that restart from the Samoans, exactly, just really the sort of reason that I would think that England will depart this pitch, just so disappointed that they didn't put this game to bed earlier, because the Samoans have committed so many unforced errors and put so much extra pressure on themselves, and also they've just not had the possession.
No, they haven't, and they've just made little errors in Samoa. You know, a few turnovers in the first half. They've not been able to not dominate the lineouts, but even get parity at the lineouts. They've been put under pressure there by England very, very effectively, and you have to say England have done a really good job at the set piece.
Well, Johnny Wilkinson, we know that he's certainly got the range to slot one of these from the halfway line. The radar's been a little bit off at times today, but he's still contributed the lion's share of the points for England. And you maybe just wonder if Wilkinson hadn't been fit, and Ollie Barkley, I mean, those two who they missed so desperately against the Springboks. I'm not saying that the result would have been any different, but I think England would have probably got on the scoreboard at least. And they haven't been playing well. This could have been a very, very different game indeed. As it is, though, even with their return, England are not convincing anyone out there that they're going to defend their trophy. Looking as though they might do exactly the same thing. Final change there for England was Dan Hipkiss, I think, coming on to replace Matthew Tate. So Hipkiss getting his first run out at the World Cup. And also Lola Louis coming on for the Samoans.
Skipper?
Semo Satiti.
Which one?
Is limping towards the touchline, looking as though he's had enough, but it's Brian Lima who's the player who is replaced by Louis. Well, he's had a good game, Lima. He just hasn't quite been able to have the impact on the game that he would have wanted. And he went very close to having the impact he wanted at times. As it is, Samoa really do face an uphill struggle. You don't see England throwing away this lead, but at the same time, this England side isn't made of the same stuff that the one 4 years ago was, or indeed, when Will Carling was around, you wouldn't see an England side conceding a 10-point lead, but they were playing very similar rugby.
That's the first drive we've seen since about the third minute of the match.
Exactly.
You can see what an impact it has on the Samoans.
We were saying how encouraging signs those were for England fans, and yet it was flattering to deceive early on. However, as we've said throughout, the big thing that England would want to take away from this game is a victory. Even if they don't get the bonus point, the win is the all-important thing. And down there on the sidelines, Tolson, I know that you're going to be very taken up with post-match interviews in just a few moments, but just your thoughts on the game at this stage and a prediction for a final score?
I think now that England are 10 points to the good, I think that's insurmountable as far as Samoa goes, because you can't see them in 7 minutes overcoming that. Probably the problem has been, as we've spoken about today, has been their set plays, especially their line-outs. But for England, they have to work on getting quick ball for their next game. That's been the key area when they've done well, is when they've got quick ball. A crowd of 37,022 here today, and you've seen Loki Crichton, the Worcester Warriors fullback for Samoa, still has scored 17 points through 5 penalties and a conversion. He has been named man of the match.
Well, there's a Samoan player still down, and I think it looks as though it's Census Johnson again, isn't it? And he's already had some trouble and received quite a lot of attention from the trainers. Vauelaga, who's replaced Tuilangi, as they try and get something going down the blind side. Titi cuts back in. For all that England have been very slow and very negative in this game, that one wasn't knocked backwards. The Samoans still, they're not producing the sort of rugby I think that many people expected them to bring to the table at this World Cup. No,
there's just been flashes of brilliance and flashes where they've played the game with continuity, offloading, and actually have caused England a few problems, but they've been too few and far between. And I think we'll hear from Michael Jones, of course, after this game, but it's really, I mean, if they go back home having just beaten the USA, it'll have been a really disappointing World Cup for them, because they came here with such intention to get through to the quarterfinals once again. Genuinely thought that they could have beaten England. Well, they've competed with England. They haven't beaten them, and they're not going to beat them unless there's a remarkable occurrence in the closing 5 minutes here. But as it is, I mean, to lose against Tonga, a game that they would have thought that they would win easily, and after all the promise that the first half against South Africa shows, it will be a very bleak World Cup memory for all of this squad and their coach. Well, it will, and you just wonder whether their sort of mental focus has been misdirected. I wonder whether they've been focusing on this match too much at the expense of their first really big match, which they had to win, which was Tonga, and then they lost that one, and it just takes a lot of momentum out of what they're trying to do. And if you can't build any momentum during a World Cup campaign, it makes life very, very difficult. Very difficult indeed. England look to finish with a flourish. Gomersall goes down the blind side. Lucy, with the injection of pace, had Saki outside him, decided to go himself. Just 10 yards short now. Gomersall again. Well, England are just going nowhere, and the defence will soak that up remarkably easily. They need recycled ball here quickly, and it's slowed right down. Gomersall again out wide. They've got options here. Saki cuts back inside, beautifully offloaded from Saki, and the try is scored. Well, even then England looked as though they might shoot themselves in the foot and fail to get it, but it's the bonus point, and that, sorry, it's not the bonus point, it's the first try of this half. Yeah, they need one more to get the bonus point. If they can get that in the last 5 minutes, I'm sure they'll be very, very happy. But just nice little cutback by Paul Saki, and Martin Curry on the inside. Took about 3 Samoans over the try line with him. But can see him yelling for the inside pass. And, I think where England, when they've been able to sort of farm possession effectively and sort of get good continuity, good phases, and quicker, just fractionally quicker ball, they've done very well. But the backs